25-yard game.
Yep.
That's a huge difference. You look at his pinpoint accuracy. 7 of his 13 games, Skip, he threw for 385 and 70% completion. A&M, Florida, Georgia, Ohio State. Are those teams any good? How many first-round picks, second-round picks you think Ohio State, Georgia, Florida, and A&M are going to have? Well, that's what he did against their defenses.
Okay, but I can also argue Alabama just might have been the greatest football team ever assembled in college football. It might have been.
they were good.
They're loaded everywhere with NFL talent, like top-level talent.
Yes.
With NFL starters. They're all around everywhere. So he got protected, and he had open receivers.
Right.
And he had Najee Harris, who's going to go probably later in the first round, very likely to Pittsburgh as the top running back. I kind of favor ETN a little bit just on his explosive speed, but Najee Harris is a stud back. He can catch it. He's 230. And he could run. He could make holes.
But he better not let Najee Harris go to Tampa Bay. Can you imagine with his ability to run the football and catch the football in Tampa?
Man, they're loaded. They got playoff Lenny and Rojo and Gio.
Well, I just hope. I hope he's going up the board before then, because I don't want to find out.
What about my little man Keyshawn Vaughn from Vanderbilt? They're just loaded. I don't know where else. I'm not sure Najee can make the team. I'm not sure he can make the team. Seriously. So the point is, now we get to Justin Fields. And he's always factored out of these debates and conversations. And what I love about Trey Lance, and by the way, we're going to have him on later. I know he's been on a number of shows, but we've got some questions for him.
Sure.
And I still have some questions. Obviously, he came from small-town Minnesota, about 150 miles west of Minneapolis.
Right.
University of Minnesota said no to him as a quarterback, which just drives me out of his mind, and it drives him to be great.
Great.
And he goes to North Dakota State just to have the chance to play quarterback, and they redshirted him as a freshman.
Right.
And he turned into a film junkie. And he is as dedicated to the process of playing football, playing quarterback at the highest level as any college kid I've ever heard of before, where he is obsessed with it the way a Brady or Peyton were or have been obsessed with it. So I love his intangibles, along with the measurables are off the charts. We're talking about 6'4", 225, runs 4.5, will run over people. He won't be able to do that in the NFL consistently.
Not for long.
But he is a runner by nature. He's got natural running ability, and yet he's got the big arm. He's got a quick lightning release. And remember, they let him run the offense from under center the way Peyton and Brady often do, where you set your own protection, you read it, he's going second and third options, he's audibling, and they gave him the whole offense on the field. They let him be the coordinator on the field. Well, I can argue that in football IQ, he's ahead of the other kids right now, even ahead of Trevor Lawrence. And yet I don't have a body of work and I don't have competition. He's the flip side of Mac Jones. I got FCS competition.
Skip, but you heard some of the general managers. You heard Jerry says, if it's close, I'm going to go with the guy that played as opposed to the guy that opted out. And you're starting to hear a groundswell of that. So how close is it between Mac Jones, Trey Lance, and Justin Fields? And do other general managers that are in that spot that's going to be selected, do they feel like Pittsburgh GM? Do they feel like Jerry Jones? Because Jerry says a guy that opted out, he missed 700 snaps. He's like, well, so
but Trey Lance didn't opt out of his own will. You know, they just didn't play.
Right.
So he played one game last year against Central Arkansas. What do you do with that?
Skip, you know, you keep saying he threw, 28 touchdowns with 0 interceptions.
0 interceptions.
But Mac Jones was 41-4. That ain't bad, Skip. 41 touchdowns with 4 picks, and playing against the level of competition that he's playing against night in and night out. And I understand, Skip, you have to have, there's no denying. At some point in time in his career, he threw to 4 first-round receivers.
Yep.
He did do that. He had 3. He's going to have 3 or 4 first-round offensive linemen go in the, last 2 drafts. But
remember, what's Mel Kiper say about Trey Lance? As fascinating and difficult an evaluation as I've ever encountered in all my years doing this. Well, I agree. So I get right to the finish line on Trey Lance, but if you throw back at me, what's his body of work? I got 16 games in 2019. I got 16, and they're great games. Against who? Against, I don't know. But he won the national championship without throwing a single interception. He talks about how his priority on the football field is do not turn the football over. How many young quarterbacks have that in their head as their priority?
Right.
None.
Skip, it's just that when I look at it, you can make the same argument for Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow didn't have a whole lot of game. I mean, you look at it the year before, Skip, he was bad.
Yep.
Joe Burrow was bad.
Okay, but what did your eye test tell you when you watched him on TV versus Mac Jones? He just looked better than me. He's a little bigger. He plays stronger in the pocket. He's more athletic. He's got a little bigger arm than this kid did. Remember, this kid, a lot of times, not a lot, but a few times, he would just underthrow balls to Devontae, and it just didn't matter because Devontae was so open deep.
You know what I love most about Mac Jones? Even though he knew Jalen Hurts, even though he knew Tua was coming to Alabama, he says, I'm going to compete.
Okay. Well,
I'm going to compete.
All right.
Skip, how many times you see guys that normally, you look at the Alabama guys, the running backs, you know there's 3 other 5-star recruits going there. You look at the receivers, you already know they got 3 5-star recruits and 2 more coming in. You go there and compete. He says, you know what? He could have left. He could have easily left, Skip.
Okay.
He said, no, I'm going to wait my time.
Okay, so are you going to dock Justin Fields for not being able to beat out Jake Fromm?
No.
Because he tried and failed for whatever reason. It wasn't his call. It was the coaching staff.
Right.
It was Kirby Smart and company calling
I want to hear what Kirby Smart has to say about Justin Fields. We keep asking Ryan Day, but Kirby Smart did coach this young man for a year. He did have him in this system for a year, and nobody has said what Kirby Smart. I know what Ryan Day has said. Ryan Day said he's been a pleasure to coach. You can throw all you want to throw at him, and he'll be able to handle it. He's tough as nails. What is Kirby? Does anybody ask Kirby Smart? Can we get Kirby Smart on record? What does he think about Justin Fields? Skip, they were the top 2 guys in the country for the longest of times, and they're about 35, 40 miles apart from each other. One's born in Kennesaw, Harrison, went to Harrison County. The other went to Cartersville. So, and now all of a sudden it seems like the gap is the length of the Nile River between Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields to hear people talk about it. I'm like, well, damn, how did he get so exponentially better in 3 years?
And yet I love Justin Fields' mental and physical toughness. And to me, he can get hotter than any of these 5 quarterbacks, but he can also throw in stinkers that knock you back in your seat and give you cause to pause. Because you say, wait a second, after I watched him against Northwestern, I was just about to be out on him because he stunk the whole game against Northwestern in the Big Ten championship.
And remember, Skip, they got racked by COVID also. Ohio State got racked by COVID, and I don't think it happened to Fields, but a lot of his teammates, some of the offensive linemen, some of the other position players got hit by that. So we don't know how much that factored in to maybe him struggling against some of these teams that he struggled against.
Okay, but obviously he bounced right back from the Big Ten championship game. And he lit up Clemson like nobody's ever lit up Clemson,
Correct.
right?
Yes.
Brent Venables, he doesn't give up 6 touchdown passes in a game, and that happened.
Yeah, Brent Venables' last 2 big games, they weren't very good against LSU and against Ohio State. They weren't very good, Skip. So I just think the thing is what happened with Kyle, with the 49ers, Skip.
Yep.
They talk themselves like, okay, well, you know what, Skip? We kind of know where we want to go. Let's just go take one last look at this car and see what it looks like. And then when you get there, you're like, damn. It's better than I thought.
Okay.
I don't know.
So are you there also?
Skip, I've already told you what I believe the guy, the system, the way he ran it, the way Kyle ran this offense with the 2 other guys, Mac Jones is it. The question is, how expansive does he want to get? If you hear him, he says when he evaluates a quarterback, and they would ask him about RG3 and they would ask him about a lot of other things, he was explaining it to you. Explaining it to a lot of people. He says, if you do this, I'll do that. If you do that, I'll do this. The question is, do I have a guy that can decipher, process information at the speed of light and get the ball out of his hand, and can he be accurate? If he can do those things, I can put him in the right position. He can, all that other stuff is be second nature to him.
So I'm on record. If I'm the Jets, I'm taking Justin Fields because I think he's readier to play than Trey Lance is. I don't get Zach Wilson either. I'm not saying he's going to be a bust, but he's got a little Johnny Manziel going on, not off the field, on the field, where it's a lot of sis boom ba, it's a lot of whipped cream, it's against lower level competition, and it's sensational. It's got some YouTube sensation going to it, but I don't know if he can stand and throw the way ultimately that Trey Lance will be able to stand